Hello, dears, how are you? We, the humans, are heavily dependent upon our financial resources. Money is something of highest importance to us. We need food, clothing, shelter, transportation, socialization, medical education. So, everything else needs money. And if at all somebody is providing us, our parents are providing us, or somebody is providing us, even if at all the government is providing us. So that all comes with a can be bought with the money only. So money matters a lot in the life of a human actually. So if this be the case, we need to understand the nitty gritty of money, the science of money. We must understand all the important relevant factors relevant to us actually about the acquiring of money, about the utilization of the money. All of that is called financial literacy. We must be well literate about the finances, and failing to understand it cost us heavily actually because we make very poor choices, wrong decisions for which we have to pay later on. So, if we want to avoid the blunders in the field of the finance, then it is highly important for us to understand the knowledge, the information which are available from the window of financial literacy. So, the financial literacy is the topic of our today's discussion. So, let's begin. Once we start talking about the money, about the financial affairs, about the financial literacy, since it is the very beginning, financial literacy is the very beginning. So, for that reason, first of all, we need to learn how to make a budget. Once the budget is being mentioned, many people become afraid that it is something very complicated. It might be complicated if at all we have to make the budget of the country or the budget of a very big organization. We have to make the budget of either of an individual or of a family. So for that reason, it should not be complicated at all. So let's begin with the budgeting. And the budgeting, it is once we talk about the budget, so there are fewer points which must be kept in the mind. Number one, it is track income and expenses. We must be very clear about what is my income and what are my expenses. So that is the number one thing which we need to keep in the mind and which we need to practice. Now the second is tracking. Keep track of the income, keep track of the expenses, and mean keep writing whatever my expenses are. And in a very simple way, keep writing a diary. I spent this much of the money on that particular need. I bought it, something. I paid for the services of this particular item. And on this date, the next date, the next date, keep track income and expenses. Number two, create a budget plan. Mean it is like writing in advance. I need to buy the food for the whole of the month. I need to buy the pay the utility bills. And if my house is on rent, so this is the rent of the house. I need this much of the money for my clothings and this much of the money on transportation, medical, and if at all the children are going to school, I need this much of the money for their education. So that is actually create a budget plan. So that is a budget plan actually, the creation of a budget plan. Now the third is prioritizing needs over wants. While creating a budget plan, we must understand one thing. And this one thing is that my needs are important, my wants are not. So not to keep worrying, or not to keep, running for your wants, rather to prioritize your needs over your wants. Now, it is the last point as for the budgeting is concerned. We need to save some money. We need to save some money for what? For emergency fund. And at least 6 months of the income, 6 months of the expenses must be there, kept saved. If at all we want, if at all we want an emergency fund. Immediately after the budgeting, we need to know about savings, and something must be saved. Savings are very important indeed, and while we are talking about the savings, we need to set the financial goals. Financial goals should be long term, should be short term at the same time. Any goal which is meant for the duration of less than 1 year, that is called short term goal. And more than 1 year, it is called, medium term. And then more than 5 years, it is called long term goal. So we need to set the short term goals, medium term goals, and the long term financial goals. What is the goal setting in the matter of finances? It is like how much I want to earn, how much I want to save. Then the next point is automate savings. Automate savings. How can I automate savings? By the way, it can be done that, either, if at all I am a salaried person, I can ask my company to deduct this much. I can make an arrangement that this much of the salary should be deducted from my money, and I will take it later on. Or there is another system that is called committee. And here in the committee, people, there are several members. Every member pay a fixed amount of money, which is deposited and given to one of the participants with the system of a draw. So that is automate saving. Now, but whatever method of saving we are going to adopt, we must ensure that this money should be kept saved. And then there is a, you know high yield saving accounts. Means some of the people are keeping their money in certain accounts where the interest rate remains very high. So we spoke about the budget first of all, savings then, and now we are going to talk about investing. And once we are talking about the investing, then understand risk tolerance and investment options. Once we are talking about investing, so that is understand risk tolerance and investment options. Then, like stocks, like bonds, like ETFs. So, whatever it is, understand risk tolerance and investment options. Now, the second next point is diversify portfolio to minimize risk. Diversification of the portfolios mean not to put all the eggs in one basket. Diversify portfolio to minimize risk. The third point is consider consulting a financial advisor. Consider consulting a financial advisor. Now, the next, we spoke about budgeting, we talked about saving, then there was investing, and now it is the debt management. Debt management says prioritizing high interest debt should be repaid as quickly as it is possible. Like credit card debts are called high interest rate. Like there are people in our society, particularly, they are buying things on installment. Here too, they have to pay the high interest rate, so that must be repaid back as quickly as it is possible. Then it is consider debt consolidation or balance transfer, and still then it is make timely payments and pay more than the minimum. Make timely payments and pay more than the minimum. Now it is credit score, and credit score says check credit report regularly. Checking of credit report regularly. Now it is maintain good credit habits. Maintaining good credit habits like on time payments, and then it is, using low credit loans, low interest loans, and then it is aim for credit score above 700. It is, there in the western countries, people are seen, getting money from the banks, then they repay it on time in the best way. What does happen as a result? That the bank, give them a good credit score, which helps them a lot later on for the purpose of getting loan. So now it is, we talked about the credit score, and now it is the insurance. Insurance is understand types of insurances. Understand type of insurance like health insurance, like life insurance, like disability insurance. And us number two, assess personal insurance need. What are my own personal insurance needs? And then it is consider consulting insurance professional. Now and then after all that, there must be a retirement plan as well. Start saving early. Start saving early through employer, through, start saving early, and then it is consider other retirement accounts, and then it is aim to replace 7 to 80% of the retirement income. It is somehow whatever way suits you, but one thing is there, that you must have a retirement plan. Lastly, there should be certain financial goals as well. And once we are talking about the goals, once we are talking about the financial goals, our goal must be a SMART goal. SMART is an abbreviation of five letters: SMART. S stand for that your goal must be very specific one, mean very clearly defined. And M mean measurable. Your goal must be very measurable. Mean you want to earn, you want to save 500,000. You have still now succeeded in saving 150,000. So that is the measurability. 500,000 is the measurable one. 150,000 is a measurable one. So that is, your goal must be specific on the one hand, mean clearly defined on the one hand, measurable on the other hand, and your goal must be achievable. As A is the third letter of SMART, and your goal should be achievable. It must be attainable. It must be realistic one, so that it shouldn't be that big that you are totally unable to achieve that. It must be attainable, achievable one. Now, the next letter in the SMART is R. It should be relevant. Relevant means that your goal must be according to your values and not against that at all. If you are against the interest, if you are against the riba, if you are against the, keeping the money in the bank, so if at all this is your ideology, if at all this is your values, then you must be taken care of not to do whatever is against your values, and to do whatever is according to your values. So that means relevant. Lastly, the last letter in the SMART is the T, and the T stands for the time bound, mean there should be a deadline for the achievement of every goal. Although it is not necessary that you are going to achieve according to your own, totally, absolutely according to your own plan, but despite all that, there must be a time bound, and it must be, it must have a deadline. So my dear friends and fellows, your goal should be a smart financial goals. Set smart financial goals. Number two, prioritize goals. What is my short-term goal? What is my medium-term goal? What is my long-term goal? And then, after all that, regularly review and adjust your goals as needed. Regularly, keep adjusting, keep reviewing your goals as it is needed. Now, remember, financial literacy is a lifelong learning process. Financial literacy is a lifelong learning process. Start with the small steps, starting with the small steps, and gradually build your knowledge, gradually build your skills as well. So that was something very important, very useful topic of financial literacy. That is all from me today. Thank you very much.